All right, welcome to the Pit Chatter Podcast. I'm your host, Langley Austin. Got Noah Hinchee beside me. That's why I laugh. Every time I look over at Noah, I laugh. I don't know if it's because of the outfits you wear. You know, people can't see these outfits that you got on. You got like a thong on today.
Oh,
you know?
okay. I'm wearing my work uniform.
I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know what's going on here, but this is the Pit Chatter Podcast. We're back. We did not race this past weekend. Noah, we got nothing to talk about, so I guess we can end it here, right?
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. No, I'm kidding. We got plenty to talk about, man. Got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of things we're changing up. Things we're going to do differently, man. You know, I don't think it's any secret to anybody that, we've struggled with car counts. So that was part of the reason for the cancellation this past weekend of the James River Equipment Ridge Runner Classic, the Super Cup Stock Car Series. They're a bunch of old guys. So they got they're old. They didn't want to be out here in the 100-degree heat. And, hey, I can't blame them. It was hot Saturday.
Oh, it was bad.
And with that, we had to decide, if we had enough cars to, continue on. We only had 3 of our divisions, on tap. This year we scaled back to 4 regular divisions. And while that's been a very good thing for us, it's also been a very challenging thing for us. And it left us in a challenge there with the vacancy of the Super Cup Series. So I shouldn't say I made the decision to pull the plug, and kind of glad I did when I went outside on Saturday. Would have been a good day for a race from the standpoint of the weather other than the heat, but I sat out here, several people came in, so people were expecting us to be racing. Not everybody checks Facebook.
I remember that race last year. I think it was in July. It was about 98 degrees. And you made a comment of, man, it's so damn hot out here. We should just cancel practice and push the race back to like 8:30.
Yeah.
And all of us were like, deal, let's do it. And you were like, no, we ain't doing that. We all got really sad.
Yeah.
That was the most miserable practice and first race I've ever participated in.
I remember that, and I also remember, man, and you weren't here at the time, but 2016 we were running all Sundays, and we were running day races, and they started either 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Well, in the summer we started them at 5 o'clock, and, man, there was one of them days like this past Saturday where it was just hot as balls, and, I mean, it was not good at all, and we toughed it out. My wife begged me. She said, look, this was the day before. We were having practice. There's like 2 people here. Nobody wanted to be out in the heat. And she's like, please, let's just go out on Smith Mountain Lake. Just go out on the lake. Go out on the lake. Well, we don't own a boat, so we rent boats to go out on the lake. So she gets on all the rental places. She's, looking at all of them on her phone, and she can't find a single one to rent. Because I told her, I said, if you find one to rent, I'll cancel the race. She couldn't find a single boat anywhere. So we had to roll on with the show. And, man, I'm going to tell you what, it was hot. Everybody here was sweating. It was miserable. It was terrible. And I'm glad we didn't put everyone through that on Saturday.
And the sad thing is we haven't even gotten to the dog days of summer yet.
Well, honestly, they won't be near as bad. You get this little whatever it is right here, and usually it happens by the end of May. It happens. This year it kind of seems like it's a little later, where you get this 3 or 4 or 5 day spike where it's just hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right before or right as summer starts. And that's what we went through, and I don't even know when summer starts. People talk, well, is it summer? Well, I mean, I consider summer from like Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yeah.
I don't know what it really is. I think it's like June something to, I don't know, September something maybe.
I consider it really the end of April until like the beginning of October.
Yeah, I can see
that. Because it's still hot outside.
Sometimes, man. We've had races here in September where I thought, man, it's going to be, it's going to be nice and warm, through the month of September, and we'll get to about the 3rd week of September, and I mean, it just turns cold all of a sudden.
I think last
you get
year,
that false winter or whatever.
I think last year I know for a fact 2 years ago that a race was canceled because it was freezing cold outside.
I can believe that. I don't remember.
The first race last year, if you look, I look at it all the time because I got the trophy because that was my first Type 4 win. Everybody's wearing hoodies.
Yeah.
Everybody was cold. And I remember y'all saying something about it in the driver's meeting. It was like 42 degrees.
I believe that.
And y'all were like, hey, y'all are some real ones for showing up at 42 degrees.
Right. Well, unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of real ones at the moment. We got a few that show up no matter what. A lot of fair weather fans and drivers. But man, hopefully we'll put all that in the rearview mirror on July 4th. We've got the Franklin Welding Freedom 262 coming up. You're working on all the details for it. I know that we'll have a 1,000-win IndyCar race, which I know you got to be excited about. I know you love the IndyCar division.
Oh, look, everybody loves IndyCar.
Yep.
Yeah, even me, like I've said before, it's a very select few people that actually enjoy, like, late models. You know, they don't wreck each other, but they battle it out.
Yep.
Seeing a good battle. But listen, everybody loves the carnage of IndyCar. And I've talked to a few people, Wes being one of them, the past few days. It sounded like July 4th is shaping up to be a banger.
If half the people who have messaged me and told me they either would or are bringing a car, if we added any car back, and now that we have added any car back for the 4th, telling me that they'll bring a car, if half of them show up, we'll have a really good field. It'll probably be the biggest field of the night, 18, 20
it's
cars.
It's going to be awesome. I'm looking so forward to it.
For sure. Also, thanks to Rose Dudley Realtor, we will have a 1,000-win late model race on July 4th. Trying to ramp these guys up, man, doing whatever we can to get them to the track. Thanks to Kyle for helping, put a bug in his mom's ear. Kyle will be racing with us. Kyle Dudley will be making his first start. I believe Kyle Barnes is coming to race with us.
Thank God.
I mean, just those two in general, man. I mean, and you got Tristan Barnes, who will probably be here as well. I mean, those three guys could be an epic battle up front.
I hope so. Because, look, let's be real. There's only a few select people that can keep Kyle Dudley in check here.
I agree.
I mean, he has so much experience. He's got so much. I'd love to see. I wish we could see a statistic on how many laps he's run here at this track. I'd say it's probably like 100,000 at least.
Probably.
And I'm not even exaggerating.
And he's led 85,000 of those.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'd love any chance we have for some of them guys, Tristan and Kyle Barnes come down here.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. And those guys always do put on a show, whether they mean to or not.
Yep.
They always make it entertaining.
Jonathan Hall was here testing this past Saturday. I believe he'll be in the field. That's another guy who can compete. Landon Nestor got his other car out. He's been struggling to get the car that they crashed back together. He's got his other car out. He said if he could, he told me today, he said we'll be ready to go if we can just figure out how to keep this thing from spinning out. Because I'm going to tell you what, him and Jonathan Hall, and I think, part of it, I think they need to realize the track was really hot Saturday when they were on it. We had practice from 11 to 2, so by the time the 1 o'clock hour got around, man, I mean, it was hot here, buddy. It was real hot. And I think part of that has to do with that, but and I'm sure it's going to be warm on July 4th. I don't expect the temperature to be real low. But we're shaping up to have some good fields. Talked to Thomas Parmalee yesterday, mini stock. He's planning on coming. Brandon Brendel from Bowman Gray messaged me today asking me what the tires were.
Say that one more time.
Brandon Brendel.
Brandon Brendel.
Brandon Brendel.
I'm going to mess that one up on the microphone for sure.
Well, listen, you'll probably be talking to him because, man, every time he comes here, he either wins or finishes second. I mean, he's runs up front every day. He messaged me today asking me about tires, so looks like he's going to be here for the 4th in the mini stocks. I know that, all these mini stock guys are planning on being here that have been running with us on the 4th, except for, I think, West Golf. I think he's got some sort of family activity or wedding or something that's going on. So he won't be here with us, I don't believe.
That sucks.
But we had another mini stock test with us Saturday, two more mini stocks that tested with us Saturday that haven't raced. That's Shane Hodges. We talked about him on a previous podcast, I believe, when he tested the first time. His intention, I believe, is to run on the 4th, make his first start. And then Kevin Light, who is a former, Pulaski County Motor Mile Speedway competitor, I believe he has intentions of running this race. Scott Foley's going to try his best, to be here on the 4th. You make sure his car is running. He's really struggled with that pink car. They wrecked it over here last year.
He's been fighting that hard.
That thing has not been right since. But talk to them. Chris Amos is going to be back in the field. His plan is to be here on the 4th. So, I mean, we got some fields shaping up here.
I will say the mini stocks, look, it's no secret what my rankings as far as excitement goes, stock 4, any car. But them mini stocks.
Hold on. Back up.
What?
Did you just put stock 4 in the excitement entertainment level ahead of any car?
100%.
I got to hear this. I mean, why?
Especially, maybe not in past years, but this year, dude.
Well, there ain't been no any car this year, so you can't put it number 1 for this year.
I'm saying, but if I'm comparing this year's stock 4 to like last year's any car, at least at the beginning of the year before everybody decided that they were
a bunch of pansies,
female organs, and stopped showing up. I'm just saying, stock 4 this year, dude.
Female organs. Jesus.
I swear, if we could get this out to the whole nation, people would much rather watch stock 4s than anything. I challenge it against NASCAR, against the Cars Tour. Dude, it is so awesome.
I'll tell you what, a couple weeks ago, the car store at Langley, they looked like the stock 4s.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know if you ever saw the video. I know you bullshitted me on here that you did, but I don't know if you actually ever watched the video.
I realized afterwards that I did watch the video. I just couldn't remember.
But I mean, they look. I mean, the way they were getting sideways and banging off of one another and all, they looked like the dang stock 4s, just in a $100,000 version instead of a $2,500 version over here.
Hey, look. $25 to $100 is like a really expensive car for stock 4. Right?
Not really. If you build it yourself, yes, $2,500 is a lot. If you buy it, $2,500 is cheap.
Do it yourself. Anyway, the whole point is,
ain't many people left that can do that.
The mini stocks, when they have a good field, dude, that's one of my favorite races ever.
They very much.
I think it was it last year you did the 76 lapper? Or was it 2 years ago? I can't remember.
I think it was last year. Or 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Oh, my God.
The 3,000 to win, yeah.
Yes.
And we didn't even have – the crazy thing about that was I think we only had like 11 or 12 cars or something. But those 11 or 12 cars had all the craziest things that could happen in that race.
Yeah, I love some mini stock. A good car count, dude, them mini stocks put on such a good show. They're insane.
I mean, I'm hoping I haven't talked to her. But I'm hoping Brittany Cochran will show up here soon. She's been in the stands. I know she wants to race. I don't know if she can't get any help or what's going on with that. But, man, I would love to have her in the field. Josh Phillips and Wes Goff and David Duncan, I mean, they put on their own little show the last time, 4 wide across the start-finish line last week. But we need a few more cars in that division, and it sounds like we're going to get there. I mean, Robert Persinger, he bought one of the cars that Chris Amos and them guys had. He's going to run. I believe he's going to run it in mini stock. And he should be here on the 27th. That's going to be his debut race, I believe. So we got that. And just to go ahead and get this out there, we didn't race this past weekend because of the heat and the car count. We're not racing this weekend with the Night of Destruction that we had intended because all the people that race here that have cars, they've been so busy working on their own cars that they haven't had a chance to get any cars ready, and that's why we've kind of pushed them off. And any car is a big part of the Night of Destruction.
Yeah.
So all them guys will be here on the 4th, and provided we have a good field, I'm going to add them to the race that's on the 27th. So we have another good night of racing action. We're not going to race on the 6th on that Saturday. I don't think anybody thinks that there's a chance that racing twice on any week or weekend is a good idea at the moment, the way car counts. And I mean, we could tear up everything on the 4th and have nothing on the 6th. And I think everybody's planning for the 4th. So we'll see what happens there. Should be a great night of racing, and we're gonna move around some other events as the year unfolds here. One of the most interesting things, and you'll probably disagree with this wholeheartedly, but one of the most interesting things about my conversations over the last, because this place ain't struggling because I ain't doing anything, okay? This place is struggling because it's stuff I can't figure out. And one of the things that one of the things that I've come to find out is, I'm not going to say everybody. I'm going to say 75% of the people that I talk to go, man, you just race too often. And I'm sure you disagree. I'm sure you want to race every week, just like I do, man. I want to race here on Friday and Saturday and Sunday every week. You know what I mean? And we should have some Wednesday races too.
It's kind of like a a hate-love relationship type deal.
Yeah.
I would love to, like you said, race Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But in the first year, obviously, I'd race every single 7 days a week if you wanted me to.
Yeah.
The second year, last year, and this year, it's kind of like when we have a week off, I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
I could use a break.
By the time the weekend's over with, you're ready to go.
By 5 o'clock on Saturday, I'm twiddling my thumbs like, man, I wish we had a race. Well, it's a weird thing.
And that's kind of what I built the schedule off of, was talking to people last year. Everybody said, man, we need at least 1 week off. And then, others were like, well, we need probably, let's just race twice a month. So it kind of built the schedule to where we were mostly running twice a month, sometimes racing 3 times a month. And, obviously that doesn't work. I honestly think, my personal opinion, the best path forward for, I'm not going to say every track, but this one in particular, is operating about once a month. As far as like the local racers go, maybe adding in some other events. Thinking about next year, what should be done. Racing more than once a month is probably a huge mistake, unless something crazy happens and we get a different president and the world fixes itself overnight. You know what I mean? Which I don't anticipate is going to happen. I mean, we may get a different president. I don't know. I have no idea and don't care, and I'm not political, and I'm not going to talk about that. But, obviously what we got ain't working. And what we got going on here was not working. And, that's kind of, the last few weeks, that's kind of why we've been trying to get our crap together. And hopefully this July 4th race will be a sign of getting our crap together. We're going to do some, I talked about the 1,000 to win late model race. The Legends cars will be part of the July 4th weekend as well. I think we're going to bump their, they normally get 300 to win, split if there's twins. We're going to be paying at least that no matter what. But, if they get a certain amount of cars, and I got to figure out if it's 12 or 15 or whatever the number is, we're going to bump that to 500 to win. Plus, there's a $100 bounty on Ethan Troll. So there's some money out there for these Legends car guys. And, I know everybody thinks money brings racers, and to a degree that works in a certain manner, but for the most part that doesn't. But I think, doing it in an incremental standpoint allows you to go, if you're running, let's say it's stock 4, and we're going to go, hey, man, if we got 15 cars this week, we'll be all right. Well, if there was 12 or 11 last week, and you go, man, I got to get my buddy over here that's got a car. I know he's got a car, and we got to get it to the track. Yeah. Well, you can help make that happen, and you may win a little bit more money,
Yeah. So
hopefully, these Legends guys, they're all talking. I mean, I've messaged a bunch of them. Chris Lilly, has been messaging guys. Stephen Troll's been messaging guys. Austin Sams, Ethan, all these guys. James Folds talks to guys all the time. So we're all, kind of working on getting guys here. We need Nathan Wheat, here every race. He's got 2 cars. There's a lot of those guys that we need here. There's another new car, new Legends, got Chris Bassett that practiced this past Saturday. He's out of town for the 4th, but man, maybe by the time we get to the end of the month or, whatever, he'll be here and he'll be racing, and that's another car in the field. And I don't know that it's public, but it will be now. But, Gary Smith, running in stock 4, he's got himself a Legends car. And
what?
And he's going to be going racing.
That was definitely not public knowledge.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Where'd you get a Legends car?
I mean, where do you buy Legends cars? From people who have Legends cars. He actually bought a really good car, too.
He's about to get a phone call from me as soon as this podcast is over.
Scott,
I might the last one to know about this.
Yeah, Scott Heath, ran with us earlier this year.
Yeah.
Busy dirt racing, sold off his Legends car. That's who's got it. Is Gary and them. So they'll be looking to start practicing and start running. He won't be in the field. I doubt he'll be in the field over the next month, but here soon they'll be practicing and they'll be getting ready to go racing in the Legends division. That's an obvious next step up. Huh?
That's a scary guy.
Oh, listen, I'm gonna tell you, he's learned how to be aggressive, which you have to be, but he is also the type of aggressive that's not wrecking somebody.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to be really good.
Just enough to move your ass out of the way.
Listen, he's got it now. We talked about it on the last podcast, how he'd flipped. He flipped the script.
It wasn't even like a slow progression. It was just like one day he was like, all right, let's go out here and beat May. Yep. And he did it.
All right, man, I'm the top dog. Here I am. You know what I mean? And he did. And
Gary's a scary dude. Scary Gary.
Scary Gary.
That's what I'm going to call him.
Gary.
But instead of Burn Off, he got a new nickname.
Yeah.
But the way he came in, I heard rumors of, there's a new guy. He bought Wes's car.
Yeah.
And then they were like, hey, he's turning 17.8s out here. And I'm like, y'all are smoking crack. There's no way. The way he's able to go fast almost immediately. I'd be worried if I was those Legend guys.
Yep. And I mean, Given's performance, renting the shop here at the racetrack. Wes Given's new car is almost done down here in the shop. Jaden Austin's new car is on the way to being done. I don't know if it'll be done by the 4th, but it'll definitely be done by the end of the month. Man, Stock 4 division is just going to continue to get harder and harder for people to dominate.
I don't know who's responsible, but somebody's done lit a fire under Wes's butt because he's actually making cars look nice now.
Yeah, that was me. I talked so much smack to him about how ugly his cars were. I think that's the thing.
The first year when he showed up in that Sunfire with the 97, when it was silver, with I don't even think it was duct tape. It was like masking tape numbers. You know how embarrassing that is to lose to a car that looks that bad?
It looked terrible. It did.
Then his cars last year, the only one that looked nice was the SI, and that's because that's how he bought it.
100%, yeah. Yep.
So it is surprising to see Wes finally making his cars look.
Yep.
They spray painted the rotors out there.
I mean, they're doing a little bit of everything.
Hopefully they lube up the brakes. That'll help them. They won't screech as much.
Yeah.
It'll make them sound better.
I'm sure it will. Yeah. But I think in all these divisions, coming up for July 4th, I think we're going to see an increase in car count in every division across the board. I know, like I said about the late models, Rose is helping us with that. Going to make the race 1,000 to win. So a solid purse going into that next race there for them. The Legends cars, we're going to give them an incremental bump in purse. Stock 4s are where they need to be. Everything about them is where they need to be, and I see this being a really good night for them.
Stock 4s at this point, it has zero to do with the money.
Oh, no, 0, 100%.
You could pay them $5, you could pay them $5,000. They don't care. It's starting to get real personal out there.
It is. We talked a lot about that on the last podcast, and I don't think it's going to get any less so. And it talked about making some changes. The last time, these guys will have to figure out a different way to race when we come back.
Yeah,
I'm taking their mirrors. And nobody.
I thought you weren't going to talk about it.
And nobody will have a spotter.
We're dirt tracking it.
So if you rely on your mirror and you rely on a spotter, maybe you need to find another division to race in.
I'm not going to say any names.
Yeah.
There's one person around here that's really good at mirror driving.
I mean, Josh Hinchee's really good at it. I agree. But
okay, sure. That's who I was talking about. Actually, there's several people.
There are several people in that class
that mirror drive a lot.
They do. I honestly, it's something that we shouldn't probably have allowed to start with in that division. We created, me and Eric Bishop created that division in the beginning of 2017. And it's, grown exponentially and evolved and got faster, and the racing's incredible, and it's our best division. And I think taking their mirrors away is going to make their racing even better. Because now,
I have an idea.
Now they can't do the dumb stuff that's causing a lot of the problems.
They're going to complain a lot.
Oh, I don't care.
The comments on when you post this on Facebook is going to be hilarious. But
yeah, we'll turn
what
the
you
comments
should
off.
do is you should give them mirrors, but you provide the mirrors and you go buy some of them cheap, crappy, like $2 1-inch spot mirrors from Walmart.
Yeah.
And give them that. That's all they got.
Honestly,
where you can't even see anything. It's just a blur of colors.
Honestly, it will teach them so much more to not have a mirror and to not have spotters. The last incident between, Josh and and Keyshawn was one side due to mirrors and one side due to spotters. So if we take them away, then we don't have to worry about that. That's not going to happen again.
There is going to be a learning curve.
Oh, 100%.
I was talking to, a guy who drives my car, Chad, yesterday about it.
Yep.
And he raised a good point. It's going to be somebody chops down because they don't realize somebody's there. Somebody's going to bump them, and then they're going to get mad and think they did it on purpose. And then I think it might take one or two races for them to realize that this stuff is not, and that's what I've talked to Wes about it. Wes is the only person here, I think, in the Stock 4 division that has any dirt experience.
Probably.
You have to show yourself
100%.
to the car in front.
Well, I mean,
you're
if
he can't see you, then it's not your spot.
Right.
So you have to get to his door at least.
100%.
But I think there's going to be a learning curve, but they'll figure it out.
One of the biggest problems in that division, from why they've all become a bunch of whiners, is because they don't understand racing in general. But and that's cool because they're not 40. They're not 42 years old and they haven't been around racing their entire life. Like I have. But the thing about it is just like Josh is getting chopped off by Keyshawn. Oh, okay, cool. If you had the spot, he couldn't chop you off. So you don't have the spot, so it doesn't exist. And well, now you're going to have the spot, or you're going to have to roll out.
It's also like I know Josh. He grew up watching NASCAR and stuff. It's kind of like everybody. Obviously NASCAR is the premier thing. It's rear wheel drive.
Yeah.
Rear wheel drive and front wheel drive have absolutely zero to do with each other.
Right.
That is it's like completely different worlds. So I think some of these guys like Josh, who's a little bit older than like people like me or Jaden or Keyshawn that's younger.
Sure.
That Josh is thinking rear wheel drive.
Yeah.
But all of us, we ain't thinking that.
No.
We're thinking you want this spot, come take it.
Yep.
It'll be interesting for sure. I think there's going to be a lot of great pictures from this next race of a lot of cars sideways who chop off people accidentally because they don't even realize anybody's there.
Yeah, but they'll learn the sound difference. I mean, you can hear. I don't care what kind of car you're driving. You can hear a car. You know where it's at. You know roughly how far it is up alongside of you. I mean, it doesn't. The only thing it changes is you can't rely on those sources. You know what I mean? Nobody can get in anybody's ear and say, "Hey, wreck that guy." And that's not going to happen. You'll have to make those decisions on your own. And you ain't going to know who's coming up beside of you.
It stresses you out. I drove a Givens Performance machine for a couple weeks. That thing had no mirrors in it. Eventually, I zip-tied my own mirror on it.
Yeah.
But obviously, the first race was very stressful. I had never run before ever with no mirrors.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a picture somewhere out there of me halfway down the straightaway looking over my left shoulder. Yeah. I'm not even watching what's happening in front of me. If they had wrecked right at the perfect moment, that car would have been totaled.
Right.
Because I'm looking over my left shoulder. But you'd be surprised how much you get used to it after the first time.
Yeah.
And you kind of do. You can hear
the
car next to you. And you can tell they're next to you.
Yeah.
But it's also you can play games with them.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like you can hear that they might be at your back tire, but you can act like I didn't know you were there.
Oh,
sorry.
Sure.
When you did know they were there.
They're doing that already. So
this is, I don't know if it's good or bad, but this is for sure going to add a whole new layer.
Oh, it is
of racing, of skill requirements. Unfortunately, I think Wes is going to win every single race from here on out.
I totally disagree. I think first few laps, it's an advantage for him because he races that way anyways. But in the grand scheme of things, it's going to teach all them how to race like he races.
Yeah,
and that can't be a bad thing.
I don't think Wes has ever looked in a mirror in his life.
He has been racing with a mirror this year.
That's crazy to me.
So,
even when we tried to tell him, I've tried to give him a mirror. He's like, nope, don't want it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, he has raced several times with a mirror in recent races. So it's going to be interesting. But I guess that'll add another layer to the drama of the Stock 4 division. Those guys, they don't really need any help adding to the drama, but they'll get it, I guess, because they've forced my hand. So we'll make that work, and they'll make it work out. And it'll all be good.
It's gonna be a fun first race. That's all I know.
think so too. And I'm gonna tell you another guy, and we can just have this conversation right here on the air. Okay, we kind of talked about it a little bit last night, but the lack of the rookie division.
Yeah.
And, everybody's been, on me about that. Man, we need a rookie class so these guys can learn how to race. And I don't disagree with that, okay? My holdup is, man, I don't want to split a field at all.
Yeah.
But, I mean, honestly, and I mean no disrespect to anybody. I'm not calling anybody by name. But, I mean, are the people that are back there that can't compete for the win, are they adding anything to the division if they can't compete at all? You know what I mean? Like, we got a couple people who are not far off. You know what I mean? So, okay, they're great. But if you don't have enough experience and you haven't learned enough, I mean, are we really taking anything away from the division if they're not in it, or if they're running in that and then running in this? I don't think so.
No, not really.
I also don't want another division, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I've been, it's been on my brain. So, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, man, I've been wanting to come out and run Stock 4, but man, racing with Wes Givens and Jaden Austin and Josh Hinchee and Keyshawn Clater and Austin Williams and, Gary and all these guys doesn't sound like that much fun to me. Hit me up, say, hey man, I want to come run rookie. I want to come run rookie. Lord.
I'm passing notes over here.
Got the clown out here with his notepad out.
I didn't want to say it on air. I got to pee.
Yeah, well, okay.
Really bad.
Yeah, well, what's new? I mean, it's every
Nothing.
episode, man.
It's
every
I have
episode.
a small bladder. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'll just talk to our other guest over here. His fool's going to look over his shoulder over here.
I thought somebody was over here.
But I mean,
surprise guest.
I think we got that. I mean, we don't need to ramble on too much more, but I wanted to get at, this podcast. I was going to have a guest on today and they backed out on me. So I figured they backed out on me 2 days ago, and I just didn't have anybody in mind that I really wanted to have on the show this week. But we got it out there, schedule change. Anything else we were talking about that we need to talk about that we mentioned last night that needs to come up here?
I can't think of anything that needs to be said publicly, at least.
So I guess that'll do it for this episode. Homeboy here's got to pee.
Sorry, I ruined it with my pee break.
The Bud Lights have got him. So
it happens. What are you gonna do?
Got Randy Winningham over here. Anyways, that'll do it for this episode of the Pit Chatter Podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully, we'll see you here on July 4th for the Franklin Welding Freedom 260. I about forgot the name of the race. Anyways, we're out.
No mirror driving.